The house is quiet in a way it never used to be. The children are grown, and they are good children. They are just far away. The work you did for 40 years is finished, and nobody is waiting on you. There is food in the cupboard, the bills are paid, and if anyone asked, you would say everything is fine, because on paper, everything is fine. And still, somewhere around the middle of the evening, something feels missing, and you could not name it if your life depended on it. Come sit with me a moment. I want to tell you what the old ones said about that feeling, and I will tell you now so you are not waiting on it. They did not say you needed more. They said something you are tied to has gone slack, and nobody has touched it in a long time. That is a different thing entirely, and it is a kinder thing, because a slack cord can be picked back up. So settle in with me. The sun is coming up over the land, and there is no hurry in this hour. This is the time of day when things like this were usually spoken about, quietly, before the day got loud enough to drown them out. Let me say plainly who I am before I go any further. I am a character, an elder brought to life with the help of AI, and what I bring you is a retelling. I am not an elder of the Diné nation. I do not speak for them, and I would never claim their authority as my own. What I can carry along is the shape of a teaching that reached me and stayed, offered carefully, from the outside, with respect for the ones who held it first. And I will say up front that the Diné are not one single voice on this. Families tell it differently. Regions tell it differently. What I give you is one telling among many, not the correct one. The prayers and the ceremonies that belong to this way of seeing are not mine to open, and I will not open them. I can only offer the everyday layer, the part any of us can live by. Now let me start where I think you need me to start, which is not with the teaching at all. It is with you. I want to say something plainly, and I want you to actually let it in. You are not ungrateful. I know that word has crossed your mind, probably late, probably more than once. You have counted your blessings the way you were raised to, and you got to the end of the list, and the feeling was still sitting there, and you decided the problem must be that you are a person who does not appreciate what she has. That is not what is happening. A person can be genuinely thankful for a warm house and still feel hollow inside it. Those two things live together all the time. Gratitude was never a thing that fills you up. It is a thing you feel about what is already there. And you are not broken. There is nothing wrong with your character. I have known people who raised 4 children well, who worked hard their whole lives, who never once took what was not theirs, and who sat down in a clean, quiet kitchen at 70 and felt like something had gone out of the room. Good people carry this, more of them than you would guess, because it is the kind of thing nobody says out loud. When your neighbor asks how you are doing, you say fine, and she says fine, and both of you go home. The old ones did not think a feeling like that was a defect in a person. They thought of it more like a signal, the way a slack rope tells you something about the load, not a punishment, not a sign that you failed, just information about how you are tied in right now. Now let me tell you what most of us do with it, because I have watched it and I have done it. We assume the answer is more. More is the only tool anybody ever handed us. So you take on another project. You clean a house that is already clean. You buy something that arrives and gets put away and never gets thought about again. You fill the calendar so full that there is not one soft hour in it. And the strange thing is, it works, a little. The days go by faster. But have you noticed what happens when the noise stops? You sit down at the end of a very full week, and the feeling is right there waiting for you, exactly the same size it was. That is because busy does not fill the empty place. Busy just muffles the sound of it. It is like turning the radio up in a truck that has something wrong with the engine. You cannot hear the knocking anymore. Nothing has been fixed. And this is the part I would want you to hear even if you heard nothing else today. If more were the answer, you would have found it by now. You have tried more. You have tried it for years. The fact that it has not worked is not evidence that you have failed at it. It is evidence that you have been reaching in the wrong direction. So let me tell you what direction the old ones would have pointed. In Diné tradition, as it was given to me, and as I understand it from the outside, a person was not pictured as one thing standing alone. A person was pictured as someone held in place by cords running out from them. There is a cord out to your relatives, the people who share your blood, and the people who might as well. There is a cord out to the land, to the actual ground under your feet, and the sky over it, and the weather that comes across it. And there is a cord out to your own rhythm, the small ordinary things you always did that made a day feel like your day rather than a day that happened to you. I will not linger on that last one because I have talked about mornings with you before, and today I want to spend our time elsewhere. What matters is what they said comes next. A person does not usually come apart all at once. That is not how it goes. What happens is much quieter than that. One cord at a time goes slack, and nobody notices because nothing broke. Nothing was cut. Everybody is still alive. The land is still out there. You still know how to do all the things you ever knew how to do. It is just that nothing is pulling anymore. You retire, and the cord out to work goes loose in one afternoon. The children move for jobs, and the calls get further apart, not from any bad feeling, just from distance and busy lives. A friend dies and you do not replace him because at our age you do not go looking for new friends. And you can lose 4 or 5 of these over 10 years without ever once having a bad day you could point to. Then one evening you sit down in a quiet house and the whole slackness of it arrives at once and you have no name for it because nothing happened. I want to be careful here. I am not telling you this feeling is a beautiful thing or a spiritual gift or a sign that you have been chosen for something. It is not. It is uncomfortable and it is heavy, and I would not dress it up for you. What I am telling you is only this. It is telling you something true about the shape your life has taken, and what it is telling you can be answered. So let us talk about the answering, because that is where I want to spend most of our time together, and I want it to be small enough to actually do. Pick up one chord, not all of them. One. Here is the first, and it is the one I would start with. Call the person you have not called. You already know who I mean. You thought of somebody before I finished the sentence, not the one you talk to every week. The one where too much time has gone by, and there was never a falling out. There was just a Tuesday you did not call, and then 2 years happened. The reason you have not called is that you are embarrassed about the gap, and you think you would have to explain it. You do not. Nobody our age needs an explanation for 2 quiet years. Say you were thinking about him and you wanted to hear his voice. That is a whole phone call. And I will tell you the thing that surprises people every time. He has been feeling the slack on his end too. Here is the second. Go outside and put your hands on the ground. I mean that as plainly as I said it. Go out in the yard and get your hands into the dirt, or lay your palm on a rock that the sun has been on all morning, or stand where the wind can get at your face and stay there longer than is comfortable. The old ones did not consider the land a view to look at. They considered it a relative you are standing on, and a body that has been indoors for 3 weeks has lost track of something that the mind cannot talk it back into. 10 minutes. You do not have to make anything of it. Here is the third, and this one does more than people expect. Make something with your hands for somebody, not for yourself. Cook a real meal and take it to the widow down the road. Fix the thing your daughter mentioned was broken. Sew, carve, build, patch, bake. 2 things happen at once. Your hands remember they are good for something, and a cord goes out to another person, and that cord has a small weight on it now, which is exactly what a cord needs. And here is the fourth. Tell one story to somebody younger. This is the one people skip. because you have convinced yourself nobody wants to hear it. I am telling you that you are wrong about that, and you are wrong in a way that costs you. There is a young person in your family or on your street who has no idea what your father did for a living, or what the town looked like before, or what you were afraid of when you were 20 and how it turned out. You are the only door to that. When you tell it, you stop being a person the years happened to, and you go back to being a person who carries something. That is a cord pulled tight in one sitting. Now, one more thing, and I want to say it clearly, because it matters more than anything clever I could tell you. If this empty feeling is heavy, and if it has been sitting on you for a long time, then telling somebody about it is a good and honorable thing to do. Tell someone who loves you, or tell someone trained to listen, and there is no shame anywhere in that, none. An old man sitting on a porch talking to you is not a substitute for that, and I would never pretend to be. In Diné tradition, as in most traditions worth anything, a person who is struggling was never expected to carry it alone and in silence. Reaching out was the strong move. It still is. So let me come back to the shape of the thing, and then I will let you go. Most of us look for the missing thing out ahead of us, something we have not gotten to yet. One more trip, one more project, one more purchase, one more way to keep the hands busy. And the old ones, as it was told to me, would have you turn around, because the thing you are missing is usually not out in front of you at all. It is behind you, in a connection you let go quiet. It is the person you have not called in 2 years, for no bad reason. It is the ground you have not stood on. It is the story nobody has asked you for, and so you never told it. That is a much better piece of news than the other kind. If the missing thing were out ahead, you would have to go get it, and at our age going and getting is harder than it used to be. But a cord that has gone slack is still tied at both ends. It did not go anywhere. Nobody has to build it again. Somebody just has to pick it up. And I will say once more, because it is only fair, that I have given you all of this as a retelling and nothing more. I do not claim to be an elder of the Diné nation. The people who carry this way of seeing hold it in their own ways, each a little different from one family to the next and one region to the next, and the deepest parts of it, the prayers and the ceremony, belong to them and stay with them. I have only carried you the part that any of us can hold. So here is what I would leave with you this morning. Before this day is over, pick up one cord, the smallest one, make the call, or go put your hands in the dirt, or make something for somebody who is not you. Do not try to fix a whole life today. Just put a little tension back on one line and see how the evening feels. Thank you for sitting with me while the sun came up. May the quiet in your house become a good quiet instead of a heavy one. May somebody hear your voice today who did not expect to. And may you find out, sooner than you think, that what you were missing has been waiting on the other end of a line you never let go of. Until we talk next time, walk in beauty.